the 9th commandment. This is what God said. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 16. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Now we're going to ask the Lord to help us to understand this. I want you to turn very quickly to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. So I want to read to you 2 verses because Jesus had something to say about this. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 11. Jesus said, "Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you." And watch this next one. "Utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward is great in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who lived a long time before you." I think Jesus contextualized this. Now watch this. This is very important for us. We're going to talk about bearing false witness. And there are 2 categories of people worshiping today. Number 1, there are those here today who are guilty of bearing false witness. I'm going to tell you what the Bible tells us about that. There are those here today who are guilty of bearing false witness. And folks, I'm about to show you something incredible, because we're discovering something in the Bible that really strikes very deep. Who amongst us is not guilty? I didn't say that there are 1 or 2 of you who are self-righteously perfect. We're discovering this right throughout these 10 commandments. So I want everybody to watch me. If you want Moses to run your life, have a good time. Legalism comes from Moses. Legalism is the thou shalt not of our Christian faith. Jesus Christ came to set us free. Jesus didn't come to replace what Moses told the people from God. He came to fulfill it. That word, to fulfill it, he came to make it possible to complete. Because Christ not only enables us to live to the power of 10, but he gives us the means to be able to cope with these battles that we have in our human disposition and with the sin in our lives. There is not one passage in Scripture, and this is not an excuse, that says when you give your life to Christ that you become immune from sin. When you give your heart and life to Jesus Christ, you become sensitized to sin. Sin bothers the believer because the Spirit of God indwells you, according to 1 John. He comes to live in you, so that when sin begins to enter into the life of a believer, there is set up by God through his Spirit a revulsion against that sin. Because God can in no way tolerate sin. He kicks against it. That's why Paul says, make sure every day that you put on the whole armor of God. Why bother? Why should we need to have armor if we are not going to be attacked? So there is one group of people worshiping right now that are guilty of bearing false witness. There's a second group of people right now who are the bearers of the brunt of false witness. There are the bearers of false witness, and there are those who bear the brunt of those who bear false witness. Bearing false witness is an endemic sin in the heart of man that has catastrophic consequences for people. Pews are never bothered by the things that we say that are not true. People get very hurt by it. And some people's lives get destroyed by it. God has given me a word for those of us who are guilty of bearing false witness, and God has given us a word today for those of us who have borne the brunt from those who have borne false witness against us.